it's Moose, and thank you so much for joining me back here. Today we're going to do my June wrap-up. Yes. It's crazy to me that we're already halfway through this year. I'm having trouble keeping track of what month it is. June was a fine reading month for me. Not excellent by any means, but definitely not terrible by any means either. I'm happy with how much I read in June. I'm pretty happy with what I read in June. I don't really think there's anything that I disliked. In the month of June, I read 5 books, which is totally within the limit of what my goal is each month. My goal is only 2 books a month. I read 5. I far exceeded that. I'm good. As of right now, I have read 41 books this year out of my goal of 60. So I'm way ahead of schedule. 13 books ahead of schedule. So if I don't meet my goal this year, it's just because I just stopped reading. Because there's no way. There's no way. I can't. There's no way I won't meet my goal. Especially if I keep up the pace I'm at. So I'm quite happy with my progress so far. With that being said, let's just jump right into it. The first book I read this month was The Fires of Vengeance by Evan Winter. This is the second book to, what's the name of that series? The Burning series, which is just the second book to The Rage of Dragons. This series has quickly become one of my new favorites. Not in the sense, not in the sense of like I'm trash for it. I'm not going to reread it over and over and over again. It's just a good story. It's so good. So good. Tao is one of the most interesting protagonists I've read in a long time. Oh, it's just so good. I have talked about this series, not necessarily this book because it is the second one in the series and I don't want to give away the first book by talking about the second one, but I have talked about this series pretty extensively here on my channel. So I'm not going to go into too much detail other than to say that it's great. So ready for the next one. I think there's only going to be 3 in this series, and I think the next one comes out maybe in January, sometime in 2022. So excited. The next book I read was The Shadows Between Us by, who's the author? Tricia Levenseller? I don't know, I'm sorry. This is a YA book in which the female protagonist is a strong female protagonist. She's very independent thinking and she wants to be queen. And so her plot is to make the prince fall in love with her. She will kill him and then take the throne. We all know how YA stories go. I'm not going to spoil it, but I don't think the plot of this one is that hard to guess. I'll put it that way. It was good. It's not one of my new favorites by any means. I've seen people talk about this here on BookTube and I honestly was expecting something a little spicier in terms of the romance, when in reality there was barely any at all. Otherwise it was fine. It was fine. I will probably never reread it, but I don't regret reading it, so. The next 2 were rereads for me. I read Twilight and Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I don't know, I've just been itching to reread Twilight, specifically Midnight Sun, for a while now. So I started listening to them on audiobook. I kept pushing it off because I reread them last year when Midnight Sun came out. So it hasn't been that long and I didn't really want to waste my time rereading a series that I just reread like a year ago. But here we are. This is my first time listening to them. I've always reread them physically, but I am listening to them on audiobook this time. I don't know if I'll complete the rest of the series. I really just wanted to listen to Midnight Sun and kind of compare it to Twilight again. So I don't know if I'll listen to the rest of the series, but I did reread these this past month in June. I actually just finished Midnight Sun. Yeah, my feelings are the same. I will say I liked Twilight itself. I liked Twilight better as an audiobook than when I read it physically. Bella gets on my nerves as a first-person narrator. So Twilight has always been my least favorite, I think. It used to be New Moon, I guess, so not always, but it's definitely my least favorite. I liked it a lot better as an audiobook. I also really liked the audiobook of Midnight Sun. I thought the narrator did a great job. I listened to it on YouTube because the Hold On Libby was going to take like 6 months. So I listened to it on YouTube. So if you're looking to hear the narrator, it's out there for you. It's available. Yeah, the narrator did a good job. Again, I like audiobooks because I don't have to put a lot of effort in. I can just listen to them passively as I do other things, and I found that I really enjoyed the series as an audiobook. I do think I like Midnight Sun better physically read than as an audiobook. The narrator was great and stuff like that. I just think I like... Edward's thoughts are kind of distinguished. I think there may be in italics or something like that in the physical print. I like having that distinction. Not his thoughts, the thoughts of other people that he's reading, like, you know, the mind reading thing, are in italics. And it's not necessarily that I get lost in distinguishing what are other people's thoughts, what are his thoughts, what's he saying in the audiobook. I just think I like, I don't know, I like seeing it on the page better than I do listening to it for some reason. I don't know why. The last book, I guess Midnight Sun was technically the last book I read this month, but the last book I'm going to talk about is The Help by Catherine Stockett. This is a historical fiction book about black maids in the South, specifically Jackson, Mississippi, right around the time of the Civil Rights Movement. Most people kind of know what this story is about, but it's basically this white woman wants to write a book that includes the stories of the different maids. Very controversial at the time. It was very dangerous for everyone involved. Such a good story. Such a good story. Such a good story. I reread this because I wanted to make sure it's one of my favorite books. I've always considered this to be one of my favorite books, and I wanted to make sure because it's been at least 5 years, maybe 6 years, maybe longer since I had read it. So I wanted to make sure, and it blew me away how much I had forgotten about this book. I barely remembered anything when it actually came down to it in terms of the different little plot elements, but it is still one of my favorite books. I did a reading vlog on it. I don't know if it'll be up before this video, but I did a reading vlog on it to kind of just think through it as I read it again. Again, still one of my favorites. So, so good. If you're looking for a historical fiction that is not World War II based, excellent. So yeah, those were the books that I read in June. A pretty good reading month. Yeah, pretty good reading month. Not, you know, anything extraordinary or anything. I didn't really find, should I say I didn't really find any new favorites? Because I did read The Fires of Vengeance in June. And that series is just a new favorite. But again, I don't want to talk about that one too much because it is the second in a series and I don't want to spoil that series. But good reading month. Fine. Hopefully June will go just as well. I expect to be a little busier in June, or not June, whew, in July. I expect to be a little busier in July, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm still optimistic. I hope your reading went well in June. If not, don't give up. You have July. You have August, September, October, November, and December. So you got it. Before the year ends, you got it. You got time. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know what your favorite book that you read in June was and if I should read it. If you think I would enjoy it, if it's maybe something that's in my reading taste, let me know. You guys are so awesome. I am so, so thankful for you, and we'll be back here next time, guys. See ya!